preparations for breaching the Daedric. Since I can't remember where that particular pathway goes, we'll have to be ready for any contingency. I also need to tell you about another memory. My memories return slowly, a little at a time. While you searched for the night, a memory came back to me. A woman's voice, barely a whisper, beautiful but speaking in a language I can't understand, repeating the same words over and over. I suspect that the language is ancient. It may actually predate the languages of Tamriel. I feel that the memory is connected to the barrier in the Dreaming Cave, and where I hid the heart. My friend, we need to discover the meaning of these words. I hoped you'd say that. I sent Oriandra to my study to review my memory and see if she could translate the ancient words. I even suggested a scholar she could contact, an expert in ancient languages and obscure dialects. Go, check on her progress. No, I just feel that the words contain the key to where I hid the heart of transparent law. I do know the language is not native to Tamriel, or to anywhere on Nirn for that matter. It feels ancient, alien. I hope the expert recognizes it. Forte, the Grand Maestro of the House of Reveries. We've shared research in the past, and he thinks the language could be related to tablets he once studied in Ebon Stadmont. Now go and see if Oriandra has made any progress by reviewing my memory.
Not derived from Ayleid, though I see a possible correlation to Daedric linguistic patterns. Who's... Oh, don't you know not to interrupt a sage when she's deep in concentration? I suppose the Rite Master sent you to see how my research was coming along. I've listened to his memory over and over, and I examined every relevant tome I could find. Not yet. The Master of the House of Reveries sent me his work. It relates to a similar language seen in the ruins of Ebon Stadmont, but I only understand a little of it. I wish Lathan was still one of us. He was our language expert. Ancient languages and battle magic, to name just a few. Lathan betrayed us, and I don't trust him, but I've reached a dead end. We need help, and he's the best option I can think of. Take the notes and show them to Lathan. What do we have to lose? I'll let the Rite Master know what I proposed. He may not like it, but he's always telling us to utilize every available resource. I think this qualifies. You'll find Lathan in Valserin's study. See if you can convince him to translate the words. I have no idea, but it's worth a try. I know Lathan and the Rite Master were friends. I don't believe Lathan would purposely try to harm Ikesis. On the other hand, if Lathan thinks that helping us will help his cause, he'll jump at the chance. I suppose it had something to do with his daughter. Eldaway was a beautiful girl, smart, sweet, and full of energy. She brightened the entire island. When she fell ill, Lathan and Valserin grew apart. It was how they dealt with the tragedy. Don't you think we tried? The Rite Master, Valcerin, the entire Conclave. But nothing helped. She grew weaker and weaker, and then she was gone. Val threw herself into her work after that. Lathan just grew more distant. Only if you want to guarantee that Lathan refuses to help us. Haven't you seen them since they were reunited? Val wants to kill him, and Lathan hates her with a passion. They used to be so in love. Now it breaks my heart to see them like this.
You weren't this attentive when our daughter actually needed you.
Lathan, I need to go check on the knight anyway.
Val, wait! Damn it. By the spinner's holy webs, when did I become an insufferable arse? Valcerin didn't deserve that. Ildaway was her daughter too. Why am I talking to you about this? I know it isn't because I like you, because I really don't. Is this some new attempt at interrogation? If so, I'm not familiar with the technique. Very well, I'll play along. Yes, I am a master linguist, specializing in ancient and obscure languages. Why do you ask? Intriguing. I've never seen this dialect before. I can translate it, but I need more to work with. I need to examine the original tablets found at Ebon Stadmont. That will never happen, of course. You do remember I'm a prisoner here, don't you? According to those notes, the writing is carved into a massive stone. I doubt you'd be able to carry it back here. All right, you've piqued my interest. Use this rune when you reach Ebon Stadmont, and I'll be able to see what you see. Nothing nefarious, if that's what you're asking. Just enter the forest, find the obscure language, and use the rune so I can see what you see. It won't do anything beyond that, I assure you. According to the scribblings of this Grand Maestro Forte, Spinner's Web, that's a pompous title. The forest is a maze filled with all kinds of beasts and daedra. As to the reason why, who can say? Sometimes a cursed wood is just a cursed wood. I don't see how that's relevant to our interactions. Not in the least. Still, my words were spiteful, meant to hurt her. There was no need for me to open old wounds. But why does this concern you? I'm your enemy. Are you too dense to see that? You and Ichesis, always sticking your noses into places they don't belong. I suppose I can appreciate that, but kindness won't help you in the coming war. Very well, I'll tell you this. Val loved our daughter, and our daughter loved Val. Hate? I'm not sure what emotions I feel right now. But when my daughter was dying, when she was crying for her mother's comfort, Val wasn't there. She was buried in her work, too busy or too frightened to spend those final moments with Ildaway. Nothing nefarious, if that's what you're asking.
bastard mercenary be?
The rune is working perfectly. It's almost as if I'm standing right next to you. I can feel the powerful magic that permeates this place. I sense a Daedric influence, but something that's far older than my Prince Bathala. The maestro's note said the ancient words were etched into a massive stone. I expect you'll need to travel deeper into the forest to find the exact location. I can't translate the words the right master heard until you find that stone. I'm not your tour guide. Just pick a direction and start walking. Wait a moment. The maestro's notes. There was a passage that might help. Something about crows. Maybe that would be enough to guide you. Refer to the book and use the rune again when you locate the ancient writing.
Rugged individual, obviously well-traveled. Yes, you should do quite nicely. Are you available for hire? I need an escort for an expedition. Rugged individual, obviously well-traveled. Yes, you should do quite nicely. Are you available for hire? For an expedition. I expect we'll encounter some danger along the way, but I'm sure it's nothing you can't handle. And put simply, I found records of an ancient temple somewhere in this very forest. I've come to study what secrets it may hold. I will warn you, Ebon Stadmont can be tricky to navigate. You'll have to keep a lookout. Travelers become lost, sometimes for days. From what I heard, the forest appears to shift as you move through it. We'll need to keep close together. So, want to help me unlock an ancient mystery? I must say, I do pay well. Thank you for accepting my offer. I'm quite excited to be heading my own expedition. Usually I work under Tellinger, the artificer, but sometimes he's a bit much. It's nice to finally be able to break free from being his assistant. Oh no, of course not. The Mages Guild still requires me to accompany him on his expeditions. I've just taken a short sabbatical, is all. As soon as I finish my research here, I'm sure I'll be off on more hair-raising adventures. Well, being Tellinger's assistant is informative in many ways, but I think now's the time to prove to the Mages Guild, and to myself, that I can strike out on my own. Ebon Stadmont just happened to catch my interest. The ruins within Ebon Stadmont are ancient, perhaps even built in the Merethic era. They contain inscriptions of a mysterious language, which only a few have begun to translate. I believe these inscriptions can help lead us to the inner temple. It's old, even for a High Elf's perspective. I found translations of only a few phrases, and even those are sparse. An interesting topic for a linguist, perhaps, but for me it's only the means to an end. The temple is all I wish to investigate. As I said before, this forest is tricky to navigate. The pathways twist and shift as you walk through it. That's why the temple hasn't been explored previously. Following these inscriptions should lead us to the temple. We're looking for inscriptions. Alert me once you see any gibberish carved into stone. Yes, this is exactly what we're looking for. Why, it's almost as if I can hear the words. Sel Ra Ang Yond. Eastern Temple? Daedra? I don't have time for distractions. Could you hold them off while I finish translating? The inscription indicates that the temple is further up. Quick, follow me. By Uriel! How did I end up here? Seems the rumors are true. Ebon Stadmont truly does twist around you. Perhaps another inscription will help guide us. Aha! Now let's see. That voice again. Para Ekne. Past pathway? Deja again? We don't have time for this.
bestow the past revealed.
Take care of that thing before it takes care of us. Thank the stars. I think he's coming too.
Am I really an Aetherius? I didn't know they let your kind in here. We of the House of Reveries have no names, only masks. But you can call me Fletch, because I specialize in the art of the bow, see? Oh, my aching head. How did I end up here? I don't remember a thing. Eben Stadmont... I'm sorry, but I just don't remember. I must have come here with my traveling troupe, though. I wouldn't have left Relenthiel without them. Someone must have ambushed me? Daedra? Mara's elbow, that doesn't sound good. Could you help me find my troop leader, Maestro Forte? I need to warn him. He should be somewhere nearby, I think. Forte! Is that you?
Fletch, what's happened? The whole troop is looking for you.
Grand Maestro Forte? Why, I had no idea you were in Eben Stadmont.
Grand? Oh no, I'm simply Maestro Forte. Hardly worthy of the title Grand yet. It appears you've saved Fletch from the brink of death. It brings to mind the story of Temerian, who of course was saved by the Nereids of... Ah, but now is not the time for such tales. Tell me, what has happened? Daedra? I had no idea. Our watch did report some strange creatures prowling about at night, but I've heard of no other attacks. Something must be attracting them here. Did you just come from the temple? The only thing of note I discovered within the temple is a glowing stone in its main chamber. I've yet to translate the stone's inscription, but it may be attracting Daedra to it. I found a similar stone nearby. Can you help me investigate? Excellent. Why don't you and your companion head to the stone? Just follow the path north. I'll escort Fletch to our camp and make sure he's seen to. We'll meet back here afterward and share our findings.
I know this is strange, but let's get to this stone. Perhaps it can answer some questions. The House of Reveries? In Eben Stadmont? Why wouldn't I have heard about that?
Lenka, fall away. Future's door.
Did you hear it too? That woman's voice. At first I thought I was imagining it. Future's Door. A House of Reveries expedition I've never heard of. Grand Maestro Forte rebuffing his proper title. And the temple room where we found Fletch? It looked the same as the room we first entered, but there wasn't a cobweb or broken pew in sight. It means we ventured somewhere we never should have gone. The past. I know it seems far-fetched, but remember that stone we first activated? I thought the inscription referenced an event, but the past was a destination, not an occurrence. That's my theory, and I'd rather not explore further to find out. Affecting the past has far-reaching consequences. It makes me wonder what trouble we've already caused. But this stone's inscription indicates it should send us back to the present. I can't be sure in all honesty, but we have to try. Otherwise we'll be stuck in the past. This stone should lead us back to our natural time. All you need to do is keep that destination clearly in your mind. I'll follow right behind you. It is quite intriguing. Grand Maestro Forte is the head of Summerset's greatest acting troupe, Reveries. But I've also heard tale that he's a great academic as well, though perhaps I'm more familiar with his work than I thought. The research I've been using to help translate the language here came from an expedition that occurred around this time. Perhaps Maestro Forte wrote the very notes that led me here. I'll ask him, but I'd rather not affect the past more than we have. Well, Fletch was very close to death, and I recall seeing bones in our present time, right where I found him injured. Most likely he was supposed to die. I'm almost glad I was so ignorant when I healed him. I don't know what I would have done. As I said earlier, changing the past has far-reaching consequences. For all I know, healing Fletch could have dire consequences to our present. I would have had to weigh his life against the potential impact of that change. Quite a somber thought. I've been hearing this voice since I first started translating these inscriptions. It must be some sort of magic, connected to the inscriptions. Perhaps connected to the language itself, come to think of it. Oh, it is rather odd for a mysterious language to speak to anyone who reads it. The misdirecting nature of Ebon Stadmont must have kept researchers from studying these inscriptions, that's all. Not to mention the local wildlife. I'm not sure what to tell you. I do know that we have to return to our time, and quickly. This mysterious voice, whatever its motivation, is the only thing helping us do that. We have little choice but to follow it now. It is quite intriguing. Grand Maestro Forte is the research I've been using to help translate them. Well, Fletch, as I said earlier, changing the past has... I've been... Oh, it is rather... I'm not sure what to tell you. It's you.
Years and years, and I never could find you. And here you are, back where it all began. Looking as if you haven't aged a day. My friend, what happened to you? So the stone did send you to the future after all. I had feared the worst. That day I tried to follow after you and return to our original time. But the stone's magic faded, and the doorway closed. Try as I might, I couldn't get it to open. I was trapped within Ebon Stadmont. For decades, I'd been studying this language and desperately searching for a way out. But my path would always lead me back here. But I did it. I finally found a way to go back, to stop this all from happening. I must stop myself from ever going back in time. I've been wasting my life within this cursed forest. The Southern Stone. That's the key to... Wait, what's that? Is that Fletch? Fletch! Ah!
I'm sorry, dear, but your role has been cut.
The temple. You must go back. Go through the temple. The Southern Stone. Bane away Tyndall. Those are the words. Stop this from happening. Take my diary. It will prove everything.
And thus the play continues. I'll see you, soon.
Such an effort to escape me. I suppose I have what I need.
Well, I suppose it's curtain call. You finally figured it out. Well, and Derwin figured it out, didn't she? But hey, you put all the legwork in. And here you are, just in time to stop our leading lady from ever performing her starring role. Ah, but did you kill me? Truly? Not even an accomplished healer could bring me back? And yes, I did take part in Derwin's final scene. Or rather, I will. All a matter of perspective there, you see. But she shouldn't have tried to cut the act short. Derwin was the leading lady of our production. It was up to her to uncover the mysteries of Ebon Stadmont, to find the true potential of its hidden power. But she found a way to escape, and in her last breath told you the way back to the start. Sadly, yes. And so my part must end as well. I put on quite the performance, though, don't you think? The poor, confused soul, the dastardly villain, the mysterious sage. But I think you have a task to do, don't you? Yes, our heroine should be just outside, if I remember correctly. After so many times, I told you the very first time we met. What did Andoan call her? Don't bother asking me. Mostly because I have no idea. I would have died had the spirit not so. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I barely understand, and I've lived through it. And it's done. The language here, of course. You see, it's all... Yes, all our heroine... What did Andoan call her? Don't bother asking me.
There you are! We finally made it to the temple. Oh, I just can't wait to see what secrets are inside. The temple is a trap? What do you mean? A book? Why, this is my handwriting. I've been trapped within this forest for decades now. Trapped within the past. My face is filled with wrinkles. My heart darkened with regrets. My life was... stolen from me. Something trying to... My goodness. This is all so hard to wrap my head around. Yes, I agree. You've gone above and beyond protecting me during this expedition. Though the details seem a bit complicated, to think I would have been trapped here, I'd say our contract is concluded. Thank you for all you've done. I suppose I did succeed in this expedition. The notes you've given me are written by my hand after all. Though of course that me won't exist now since you've stopped me and I'm going to stop now. Before my head hurts. I'm sure these notes will give me more details. The best thing to do now is share our findings with the Mages Guild. Let them know how dangerous this forest truly is. As for me, I'll join back up with Talon. You know, it may be silly, but I suppose I came here to step out of his shadow. If I could be the one. Tellinger is the one who makes brash decisions. Well, it is a lovely view, once you put aside all the strangeness.
Have you found the inscription? Not yet, but the inscription... The Grand Maestro mentioned Daedra, and I never imagined they'd belong to one of the patrons of the Court of Bedlam. This changes everything. Now I'm really interested in helping you translate the Right Master's memory. An excellent question. But we won't learn anything if you continue to stand here and talk to my projection. Get moving and find that inscribed stone. ancient inscription. You found it. Something isn't right. I feel our connection breaking up. It's Nocturnal's Earl.
Now that Lathan's gone, we can talk freely. These words of power, they aren't meant for mortal eyes. As an Earl in the Court of Bedlam, believe me when I say that Lathan isn't being totally honest with you. I wish to maintain the balance of power among the Daedric Triad. If Lathan translates this language and passes the secret on to his mistress, Mephala, she'll gain an advantage that could threaten my prince, Nocturnal. Speculate all you want. I'm here to present you with a gift. Nocturnal wants me to provide you with the meaning of the ancient words. It's in all our best interests for the Right Master to remember where he hid the heart of transparent law. The phrase the Right Master remembers, the one that repeats itself over and over. It's a spell to retrieve something hidden. When the time is right, he just needs to repeat the phrase and the heart's hiding place will be revealed. My mistress doesn't explain herself to me, and she certainly won't explain herself to you. I assume, though, since the heart was hidden by the Right Master, then only the Right Master can retrieve it. Artaeum is only as isolated as it allows itself to be. First, the Abyssal Pearl allowed the Sea Slode and Mephala to invade the Sidgic Island. Then you took Lathan, an Earl in the Court of Bedlam, prisoner. We know your moves before you make them. Our princes plan to do away with the laws imposed by other powers. They want to remake Nirn, reshape it to better suit their every inclination. Of course, to do this, all obstacles must be cast aside, including the other Daedric princes. The court isn't evil. We wouldn't be a part of something that didn't add to the greater good. When our princes are done, war and sickness will be eradicated. There will be true peace and godhood for the court, as befits beings of our stature. I am a dark elf, a child of Morrowind who lost her way. Anger and despair almost overwhelmed me, until Nocturnal reached out to comfort me. The Night Mistress filled me with new purpose, and gave me something greater than myself to believe in. While it's true that the court consists primarily of High Elves, who believe their birthright is the key to godhood, I am not so naive. Nocturnal selected me as her Earl. She taught me that loyalty is the path to ascension, and my loyalty is strong. Our princes plan to do away with the laws imposed by other powers. They want to remake Nirn, reshape it to better suit their every inclination. Of course, to do this, all obstacles must be cast aside, including the other Daedric princes. Tell the Right Master, it's a spell of retrieval.
Finally, I've re-established my connection to the rune. Tell me what Nocturnal's Earl said to you. I can't believe Nocturnal's Earl interfered like that. We're supposed to be allies. Why would she want to stop me from reading that ancient inscription? A spell. Interesting. And somehow connected to the Right Master's forgotten hiding place. I wonder why Nocturnal decided to share this information. She isn't usually the most forthcoming of the court's esteemed princes. Right. I told them to interrupt my research before I could unravel an ancient and powerful language. Look, you should come back to Kapora Tower now. The Right Master wants to hear everything my associate shared with you. And frankly, so do I. I just wish I could have spent a few moments studying that inscription.
Oriandra, you should have consulted me beforehand.
She saw an opportunity and she took it, Tychesis.
Silence, Lathan. This escapade of yours could have been disastrous. What were you and Oriandra thinking, trusting Lathan to help us translate the ancient language? Now nothing you discovered can be trusted. We're back to square one. I observed what I could through Lathan's connection, but it seems to me that the Court of Bedlam is just trying to confuse us. What do you think? Should we trust Nocturnal's Earl or not? As much as it pains me, I must concur. We'll just have to make sure that once we recover the heart, it isn't allowed to fall into the hands of the Court of Bedlam or their princes. Darian's outside. Talk to him, then meet me in the Dreaming Cave. No matter whether Nocturnal's Earl spoke truth or lies, we need to recover the heart of Transparent Law. I'm sure I hid it somewhere beyond the Daedric barrier. Was there anything else before you go and check on Darian? I remember I tried to resist the Sea Sloat's compulsion and was able to maintain a sliver of control. But as for a revelation spell, where would I acquire something in such an obscure language? And whose voice do I hear echoing in my mind? I remember using what control I still possessed to foil Katora's plans. I recall forging a bargain with someone I have no memory of. I remember that it was the only way to assure the heart's safety. That, my friend, would be a mistake. Summerset's ancient defenses have withered since the Transparent Law crystal was broken and the heart removed. Every moment the crystal tower remains incomplete, another protection falls away. I'm sure that it is. But in that certainty, we gain an advantage. You'll be at my side when we locate the heart, and you'll be there to help me defend it from the Court of Bedlam and their princes. I remember I tried to resist the Sea Sloat's compulsion and was able to maintain a sliver of control. But as for a revelation spell, where would I acquire something in such an obscure language? And whose voice do I hear echoing in my mind?
Your wounds, they're just gone.
I've always healed fast, Val. I can call you Val, right? Give me a moment. I'd like to chat with our friend.
Of course. Then go to the Dreaming Cave. The Rite Master's ready to begin.
I wanted to thank you again for getting me out of Mephalah's realm. It wasn't anything like I originally imagined. Oh, and I wanted to let you know that I was able to repair the Dawnbreaker. The sword's power should allow us to breach the barrier. No thanks to the Psijic healers. I thought they were going to slice me open to try to figure out what makes me... well, me. I'm glad you stopped by, though. I wanted to talk to you. In private. This might sound like a strange question. In fact, depending on how you answer it, it is a strange question. Do you remember me? I'm not talking about here in Summerset. I mean, from someplace else. Yeah, it was terrible. One moment I'm fighting Molag Bal, and the next I'm stuck in the colored rooms without any kind of explanation. I tried everything I could think of to get out of there, but nothing worked until Meridia gave me this mission. I thought I did. After the big flash of light, I remember floating. Then there was more light. Meridia was there. She told me I was in her realm. Other than her lectures, it was pretty boring. Come to think of it, those were pretty boring too. Oh yeah, she said I was supposed to help you stop the Daedric princes, to keep them from reaching the Crystal Tower. Problem is, she didn't tell me how we were supposed to do that, and now I can't seem to reach her. I hate to admit it, but I'm worried. Fixing the Dawnbreaker was surprisingly easy, by the way, especially considering that I'd never repaired a Daedric artifact before. Questions? Not like a test or anything, though, right? Tests give me a rash. But sure, yeah, what would you like? Being in the colored rooms was fun at first. Those golden saints were pleasant to look at. Their personalities leave a lot to be desired, though. I've had better conversations with the floating rocks than with those shining arses. I ask myself that question every day. Meridia said I had a purpose, but she refused to elaborate. She said I'd recognize it when the time was right. Nothing more comforting than a Daedric prince being all vague about your fate. Help you? She talked about you a lot, as a matter of fact. We've already stopped one Daedric prince together, right? How hard can it be to stop 3? I wish I knew the answer to that. I remember my father well enough. He was a Breton, but I never met my mother. In fact, now that I think about it, my entire childhood is kind of a blur. I never questioned that. I'm not really sure why. Meridia only ever told me I was her vessel. I can't say I remember volunteering for that job, though. I have her magic inside me. I've had it all my life. I can feel it. But why? I have so many questions. Who I am, what I am, why the amazing good looks and roguish charm if I'm just here to stomp on Meridia's enemies. I mean, I guess if I was a prince, I'd want a dashing champion, so I can't blame her for that. Hey, I got stabbed a bunch, remember? You can't examine battle wounds with your armor on. Besides, this sea air is good for the skin. Ask anyone. I'll try not to distract you too much until after we've saved this world. After that, I don't have any plans, if you don't.
You saw Queen Irene before I was a member.
Don't start without me!
We're as prepared as we can be without knowing exactly where this pathway leads. I've even set wards that will help protect me from the Daedric princes. Remember, though, our primary goal is to recover the heart of transparent law. The Golden Knight must wield the reforged Dawnbreaker to breach the barrier. Then we simply step through the portal and see where it takes us. I expect we may call upon your fighting skills before all is said and done. Are you ready to proceed? We're as prepared. The Golden Knight. Sir Darian, deal with this barrier, if you please.
My pleasure.
The way is open. Let's go. I'll be all right, Valcerin. Manipulating the Dreaming Cave always exhausts me.
We'll take it slow. Let the others clear the path for us.
I expected the pathway to lead to some obscure corner of oblivion, but this is Nocturnal's realm. I wish I could remember what compelled me to hide the heart here. The heart is here. I'm positive. Now that I think about it, this location has a familiar feel. I've been here before. I just need to remember where I placed the stolen crystal. Take Darian and scout the path ahead. Look for any signs that might indicate where I hid the heart. Valcerin will assist me and we'll follow behind you. As much as it pains me to admit, my many years are finally catching up with me. Be prepared for anything. This is Nocturnal's realm, after all.